It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by AgileDad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started.
It truly is an honor to be with you as in the United States we celebrate Independence Day. It is an awesome day, and I couldn't think of a better day to talk about some topics that are near and dear to my heart. I've been thinking about what exactly I wanted to say, and the words that keep coming to my mind are let freedom ring. But what exactly does that mean to let freedom ring? The simple answer is just the sound of a tolling bell, right? That's what ringing is. If you look up in a dictionary, you get a clangor, a ring, a reverberation, rather. Thank you, a noise. Those are the obvious, clear definitions. But one use of ring that stuck with me was in the idioms: ring up the curtain, ring down the curtain. To begin or conclude a performance or an action, let freedom ring. It was on April 19, 1775, the shot heard round the world echoed far and wide from Concord, Massachusetts, throughout the colonies in Europe, finally culminating some 14 and a half months later in a final earth-changing resonance with the adoption of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia. A conclusion and a new beginning all at the same time. Let freedom ring. Our legal separation from Great Britain, our Declaration of Independence, actually occurred on July 2nd. It was on this date that the Second Continental Congress voted unanimously to approve a resolution of independence that had been proposed the prior month by Richard Henry Lee of Virginia. His resolution declared that the colonies were to be independent from Great Britain. Resolved that these colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states that are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. Let freedom ring. In fact, John Adams was convinced that the July 2nd would be the day that history would remember as the beginning of this new nation. In a letter that he wrote to his wife Abigail, he said, "The second day of July 1776 will be the most memorable epoch in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as a day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations, from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore." After voting for independence, Congress turned its attention to the document that we now know as the Declaration of Independence. This document was a proclamation explaining the decision of independency. Thomas Jefferson was chosen as its principal author. Congress debated and revised and debated, finally approving a version on July 4th. It is therefore the 4th of July that was chosen as the day to celebrate. Not because the second was less important, rather, it was because that was the day the announcement was adopted and voted and passed. It probably also helped that the date of the proclamation was prominently displayed at the top in Congress, July 4th, 1776. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This has been called one of the best known sentences in the English language, containing what we argued are the most powerful and significant words in American history. The passage came to embody a moral standard to which the United States would strive. Abraham Lincoln is said to have considered the Declaration of the foundation of his political philosophy, and argued that if a statement of principles through which the United States Constitution should be interpreted, let freedom ring. The Declaration of Independence did prove to be internationally influential. It was the first in a new genre of declarations that announced the creation of a new state. French leaders were directly influenced by the text of the Declaration of Independence itself, and thus adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen in 1789. The province of Flanders was the first foreign derivation of the Declaration. Other declarations of independence include Venezuela in 1811, Liberia in 1847, the Confederate States of America in 1860 through 61, and Vietnam in 1945. These declarations echoed the United States Declaration of Independence in announcing the independence of a new state. Some 23 other countries have used our Declaration of Independence as inspiration or directly copied sections straight from it, including Haiti in 1804, New Granada in 1811, Argentina in 1816, Chile in 1818, Costa Rica in 1821, El Salvador in 1821, Guatemala in 1821, Honduras in 1821, Mexico in 1821, Nicaragua in 1821, Peru in 1821, Bolivia in 1825, Uruguay in 1825, Ecuador in 1830, Colombia in 1831, Paraguay in 1842, the Dominican Republic in 1844, the Republic of Texas in 1836, the California Republic in 1836, Hungary in 1849, New Zealand in 1835, Czechoslovakia in 1918, and Rhodesia in 1965. The Declaration of Independence is a symbol of human rights. It has been used by the oppressed over the last 238 years as a symbol of their respective struggles. From slavery to women's suffrage, civil rights to same-sex relationships, the words of Jefferson are often recited and paraphrased, but point back to the original meaning, that all men and mankind are created equal. As this day is Independence Day here in the United States, in the greatest country known to man, I thought it would be fitting to celebrate, to honor our country, to honor our allegiance, to honor who we are, to recount the words, "My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring." To paraphrase what Dr. Martin Luther King said to an intimate gathering almost 51 years ago, throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky, let freedom ring. From the Cumberland Gap to the Ohio River, let freedom ring. From Pikeville to Hickman, from Covington to Franklin, Louisville to Kentucky, Owensboro to Williamsburg, let freedom ring. From every township, every burg, every hamlet, every holler, and every city, let freedom ring. This excerpt that I just read to you was taken from a presentation that was given, and I couldn't go without sharing it with you. It was just such a beautiful adaptation of what the 4th of July means to us Americans. While this presentation certainly warms my heart, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I feel like there are too many things in our country today that are driving a great divide. In tying this back to the Agile community, the latest, or I should say the largest Agile conference, Agile 2023, is happening here in my home state of Florida, right here in Orlando, not too far away. And it saddens me to see the lines of divide that are being drawn between all parties regarding where the conference is taking place, what types of things are happening in our government system. And I think what we need to remember is while no man is perfect, we can build our foundations on perfect principles. And if we take the time to love, understand, hear the voice of others, celebrate diversity, be inclusive, make sure everyone's got a seat at the table, and handle things in such a way that we can all be on the same page, I firmly believe that we can all come together and that we can all celebrate those things that help us to be free and that make us the unique individuals that we are. It's time for us to take off the blinders, people, and to just be people of great joy. And on this day, as we celebrate our great country, United States of America, I want to remind everyone to stop being so hypocritical, stop being so judgmental. And if I could share one message with you today, it would be it's our turn to let freedom ring. Until next time, stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Do take care.